Here we go. So hello, welcome. And this is the Healthy Holidays webinar called Cozy Up Without Weighing Down. And obviously, as we talk about in coaching, where focus goes, energy flows. And this holiday season, a little intentional planning can go a long way so that you can finish the year strong. So obviously, Maureen, you're on here. You know me already, but for those tuning in that might not know me, I just wanted to real quick say I'm Alicia Parker, National Board Certified Health and Wellness Coach, specializing in lifestyle medicine, also a functional training and sports and fitness nutrition specialist. And what does that mean for general population? It means that I help people bridge the gap between current lifestyle principles, current lifestyle and the principles of lifestyle medicine or any other desired goal to help them achieve what they want in a satisfying way. And we use behavior change psychology to guide people in taking on bridge behaviors every step along the journey. And one thing that we talk about at length during coaching is the idea of micro commitments. And they're key throughout the journey, as Maureen, you would attest to. Oh, and Michelle's in too. Hello, Michelle. So micro commitments, they're key throughout the journey. And we're here today to specifically talk about the micro commitments you could choose to make as you approach holiday gatherings in the upcoming weeks. Hello, Michelle. How are you today?
I'm good. You?
I am doing well. So I'm anticipating people just kind of pop in, pop out. But of course, this is you guys, and we're ready to roll. So here's where we're headed today. First is we're going to kind of think about, just like we did in our initial sessions together, during those wellness vision setting sessions, we're going to start by envisioning what you want to experience during the holidays. As you know, having a strong vision of what you want to feel and what you want to be experiencing is a lot better than having that outcome metric, right? Of course, know that you're not alone. If any challenges come up that might block that vision, we're going to go over the top 5 common portion control pitfalls that I have discovered. And we'll also go over some tactical strategies. We've reviewed some of them in our group coaching calls, but I've got several others that have come out of one-on-one coaching sessions as well. This is kind of a space to put them all together. And I will be sending out a replay, obviously. So if you want to take screenshots of anything, if there's a slide that you're like, oh, I want to remember these strategies, feel free to take screenshots and share any ahas. Feel free via chat or even hop in. But obviously, overcoming the pitfalls requires some creativity, but also a knowledge base. So we're going to go over 3 of the healthy eating principles to keep top of mind during the holiday, 1 to let go of during the holiday, and we will get to eat your piece of chocolate by the end of section 3. And of course, as we end every coaching session, we're going to go over some goal setting, get those ideas that we discussed, anticipated pitfalls, and work with SMART goal setting so that you can put this into action over the holidays. So first, let's just start with a pause. So feel free to put anything that might be distracting you down. I invite you to close your eyes here. And I want you to begin envisioning and visualizing your typical holiday experience. How do you feel going into the event? What emotions typically show up for you? What feelings are you noticing physiologically in your body? It could be hunger, could be tightness, tension, could be maybe really relaxed. Maybe you envision where you are. Maybe you're in your car driving somewhere. Maybe you've already arrived. Maybe it's at your home if you're hosting. And as you walk into this space of the holidays or any gathering, envision what's on the table. What is set out at the buffet? Thinking beyond the kitchen, we also think, who's at this event and gathering? What sounds are you hearing? What might be on the TV? What smells and aromas are hitting you like a wall? And think about the tastes, the feelings, the sights, the sounds, all of your senses. What might you be feeling and experiencing? And as you wrap up the vision of the first bit here, reflect on how you typically feel when you're leaving these holiday gatherings. Think of one or two adjectives to describe what you typically feel when you leave. And now that we've had a moment to visualize that typical holiday gathering, we want to focus inward. How do you want to feel throughout that entire experience? How might your typical experience be different than how you want to feel? Identify that gap. Maybe you want to savor the food, enjoy the company, be present in each moment. For some, it's a feeling of being in control, being connected. Maybe you want to leave feeling light, satisfied, joyful. Maybe it's even a state of being unhurried, maybe some equanimity, maybe a sense of peace, calm, ease. And as we tie these two visualizations together, what you have experienced in the past, what you want to experience this time around, what in your experience in the past has promoted the feelings that you want to experience most this time? Keep that strength in mind. Keep what your previous experience has given you in mind, and feel free to open your eyes. So deep down inside, we really want to keep a pulse on that ideal state. And deep down, you know what that ideal state of being is that you want to bring into the holidays and how you want to experience the holidays and even life in general. So, of course, you have to, like everything else, create the experience for yourself. And it's definitely easier to do. It's easier to create these experiences when you're familiar with your own common pitfalls and your own common challenges. So over the past few months, in preparing for the holidays has just been a huge topic of conversation in my one-on-one sessions, in group coaching sessions, in conversations while I'm out on walks. Everyone, this is top of mind for everyone right now. And one of my one-on-one clients actually defined this as cozy season. She said that it spans specifically from Halloween to New Year's Day. And she talked about what that implies for her. But we all have that idea of this is a time to cozy up. Hence the name of this webinar. She inspired this webinar to happen. So from these crucial conversations that I've had, not just with you guys, oh, Greg wants to join too. He'll probably join with the kids. So from this experience in coaching clients and even through the group coaching sessions that we've done recently, it has been very interesting to hear these common threads coming up. And I've discovered these top 5 pitfalls that you see here on your screen right now. And the first big challenge is going in too hungry. The second is having a lack of healthy options. There aren't enough healthy options for you. Next is speed eating while distracted. And of course, we finish with those lingering leftovers that we're all very familiar with. One client today, this morning, I was talking to him and he said, it's just the holiday that never ends. I don't have to sing that song to to get that earworm in your head, but really, the holidays tend to linger. So we'll go through all 5 of these pitfalls. And as you're taking a look here, just to get a pulse on what you guys are experiencing, feel free to open up in chat. It's that I believe we're familiar with this at this point. We've had those Google Meets before, but if you open up chat, it probably looks like those icons in the bottom right corner, or even it just might look like a message bubble. Feel free to type in either the number of the pitfall or the title of the pitfall, your top pitfall. So once again, going in too hungry, a lack of healthy options, speed eating, eating while distracted, and lingering leftovers. Michelle, this one is, yes, number 1, definitely a huge topic of conversation recently. Mindful eating can definitely help us with this one. Greg's got the same. Yeah, and eating while distracted. There's so much going on. This is really, all of these kind of are present at the majority of our gatherings, but you guys are hitting the nail on the head there. Yeah, going in too hungry is probably the number 1 sneaky one. And lingering leftovers, and eating while distracted is a big one too. So now that we've identified the biggest challenge that could potentially block your vision for how you want to experience the holidays, it's time to understand the concepts and strategies that can help you develop a confident plan going in. You can stay in control. So if you are looking at this slide, and you ladies have all seen these icons previously, we've talked at length about healthy eating principles, you're probably thinking, Alicia, where's the 4th principle? Right? I like to say the healthy eating plan has 4 healthy eating principles. And what I want to say here before we dive into the 3 that we're going to focus on is that your holiday or meal or gathering is something to enjoy. It's not a time to be hyper-focused on calorie counts or logging every detail of what you ate. It's not about being restrictive. We want to go in with a mindset of control and being intuitive. Oh, there's my mom. Hi, Mom. She'll hop on in a second. I think she'll pop up. So save those hyper-focused calorie counts and logging for your daily routine days. And just remember, daily routine days, yes, log your food. Yes, be very aware and focused on exactly the quality of your diet and how much you're taking in. Really dial those in. But most days are daily routine days. Not every day is a holiday. This is a holiday strategy session. This is like that once in a blue moon kind of day. It's not your daily routine strategy session. So today is all about focusing on predominantly enjoying the holidays while staying in control and creating the experience that you want. So in order to do this, we're going to go over the 3 healthy eating principles that are crucial to developing your holiday healthy eating strategy. And they include intuitive eating, right? Intuitive eating, which is going to help us with the pitfall that Greg and Michelle pointed out. And the balanced plate concept, or the Harvard Healthy Eating Plate. We'll go over that in a moment. And also mindful eating. By using these strategies to implement these 3 components, you can go to a gathering with some peace of mind surrounding your eating plan. And you might even influence some others around you. So I wanted to start with intuitive eating because this tackles pitfall number 1. So before we dive in, I'm going to just briefly review intuitive eating. It is a separate and complementary practice to mindful eating. So it's where you leverage the power of your own intuition and respond intuitively to your hunger cues. And using this simple scale of 1 to 10, the hunger satiety scale, you can become aware of your personal physiological hunger cues, and you can understand a little bit deeper when to start and stop eating. Now, this overview, it's a scale of 1 to 10. So you're seeing it on your screen in front of you. I'm seeing it on the screen to my side here. But 1 is ravenously hungry. You're like, okay, I could eat my arm. 10 is sickly full, Thanksgiving dinner full. It has earned its name because of the cultural implications surrounding the overindulgence that the holidays typically are about, right? So today we're going to talk about how to stay in control and how to identify your hunger sweet spot. So we want to avoid the danger zones. If we're looking here, you'll see the green. We want to be in green. So that would mean starting to eat when you're at a 3. Whoopsies. Starting to eat when you're at a 3, trying to be done eating or at least walk away, take a pause when you're about at a 6. If we're getting to the point where we're sickly full, Thanksgiving dinner full, we walk away feeling weighed down mentally, emotionally, and physically. We feel lethargic. And it can typically be caused because we were at a 1 going in. And Michelle and Greg had both pointed to this being a big challenge. I mean, there are 5 different pitfalls that we're going to cover today, but knowing your own hunger scale and making sure that you stay ahead of your hunger can help you stay in control and avoid those hunger danger zones. And this is a resource that you can use any day at any time. It just requires you to tune in with yourself. So just remember, if you're procrastinating your hunger and you're getting to the point where you're feeling starving, ravenous, lightheaded, you find yourself in a hunger emergency. This is where your tank is on E. You feel, people call it hangry, headachy, foggy. It's where you are most vulnerable and where you're most inclined to choose food choices that are convenient, but they're also loaded in SOFAs. We're going to get to those in a little bit, but saturated fat, added sugars, sodium, the trifecta. So we want to make sure that we're staying ahead of our hunger so that you can stay in control of your choices, and then you can avoid tipping the scales to a 9 or a 10. This is going to allow you, if you're staying in that 3 to 6 on that hunger scale, to make sure that you can practice mindful eating. That's why it's a complementary practice. So let's keep on moving. So, of course, we are trying to avoid Thanksgiving dinner full on Thanksgiving Day. We want the sensation we want the gathering to be focused on gratitude. We want our sensation to feel light and satisfied. And like Michelle is pointing out in chat, we want to avoid going from 1 to 10. We want to be in a 3 to 6 so that we really can feel just light, satisfied, in control. And for some reason, over time, we've developed this social paradigm where we anticipate this event, and it's something that is just wired and ingrained in us. We anticipate this event, and we're thinking, oh, I have to stay healthy the rest of the day. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But in an effort to stay healthy, we restrict so much that we force ourselves to be at a 1 on the hunger scale going into the event. And then that leaves us really vulnerable. We tend to binge when we get to that event. So it's like we head into the day with these intentions of saying, like, I'm going to eat a full day worth of calories all in one sitting and then some. And we can actually change the script in our head. So changing your thoughts, changing your perceptions, and leaning on this idea of what you want to experience most can actually help you stay in control. So maybe you, in that vision session that we just did at the very beginning of this presentation, you're thinking, I want to walk away feeling light and satisfied, or I want to experience gratitude. Whatever the experience is that you want to feel, staying in control and not overeating can help keep you nice and clear. So that is kind of an overview of intuitive eating, but here are the first 7 tactical strategies that we are going to go over today. So in order to avoid pitfall number 1, we are going to take a look at these 7. Feel free, this is a screenshot moment. Feel free to take a screenshot of these 7 if pitfall 1 is one of your challenges. So first is eat regular meals throughout the day leading up to the event so you aren't feeling vulnerable when you're surrounded by temptation. Feel free to make the rest of the day business as usual and get yourself moving in the morning or before the event. Eat your regular meals so that you're in control of your hunger, and it really does allow you to stay in control going in. Throughout the day, assess where you are on the hunger scale before, during, and after you eat. That means in the morning before the event happens, at lunchtime before you go. Maybe you're going for this late afternoon, early evening. It's not quite dinner yet, but you want to make sure that you're aware of where you are on that hunger scale and assess it even during your eating process, which will be helpful when we get to the eating while distracted that Maureen was pointing to earlier. Another thought here is if you are going in really hungry, these 2 will likely be very helpful. First is front loading your plate with veggies. Load up half of the plate with non-starchy veggies. And if you're really, really hungry, those veggies are going to just pop in, but it's also going to start to fill up those stretch receptors in your stomach. You're going to start to feel a little bit full and a little bit more satisfied. And if you really are having trouble staying in control, take a really small portion first. Take like a half plate and slowly eat that. Of course, you can always go back for seconds if you took a really small portion, and then you know what's worth going back for more. Mel actually came up with this one. Pick your top 3 items and carefully visualize your portion size. Visualizing your portion size, you've always got your hands with you if you've got all of your extremities, right? So we've got your fist. The fist is about a cup. Now, some of us have bigger hands, some of us smaller hands. I'm on the smaller hand side, but in general, a standard adult hand is about the size of a cup. If you're looking at a thumb, that's about the size of a tablespoon. So it can allow you to say, oh, I took about a tablespoon, or I took about 4 tablespoons and I really only wanted 1, can help you be in control of what you're putting on your plate. Next is to step away from the food and turn some of your together time into active time. Maybe in the morning you go for a walk together. Maybe you go for a walk between dinner and dessert, because dessert is a part of the shindig. You want to make sure that you are stepping away, getting yourself out of the trigger environment of the food and allowing yourself to go experience and enjoy, especially if they're like kids or pets around. Makes it easy to walk away and go immerse yourself in the fun and the joy and the innocence of the younger counterparts in the family. So taking a look at these, what, if any, ideas pop up for you? If you have any, feel free to share them in chat when it comes to going into hungry, overcoming pitfall number 1. Two, Michelle, yes, making the rest of the day business as usual. Get moving, get yourself in your regular routine, stay in control before you go in. So the last slide we talked about front loading with veggies. And I want to talk through this visual guide to confirm that strategy and say, yes, oh, Maureen, you said number 4. Front load with veggies. Yeah, so that's what we're going to talk about here. Yeah. So this visual guide is going to confirm exactly why that works. So we don't need to get into the full science behind the Harvard Healthy Plate, but you guys have seen this before. And this is the balanced plate concept. And the Harvard Healthy Eating Plate really does demonstrate this high-level overview, right? Half of the plate, non-starchy fruits and veggies. If we're filling half of our plate, it's going to be low caloric density, high nutrient density. It adds to, yes, feeling satisfied on a stretch receptor level, but also adds to feeling satisfied on a micronutrient level as well, so that you can enjoy in moderation the other components of the plate. right? We do want to have healthy oils. We do want to have whole grains. We do want to have protein. Obviously, water is a drink of choice, although holidays might say otherwise. But feel free, focus on mostly water and be mindful of your other choices, right? But right now, that's a high-level overview. If you want the full interactive experience with the Harvard Healthy Plate, I am going to share this in chat because you guys have seen this before, but you can always click into the different sections and learn more about what the components are, why they work, the science behind it, additional tips and recommendations. But really, non-starchy veggies, half of the plate, fill it up. Of course, not every dish is going to look exactly broken down like this. However, it is a helpful visual guide to help inform the ratios of what you're putting onto your plate. Eating a balanced plate and using your trained eye can help you avoid, like I said earlier, the sofas. So there are two sofas that we want to focus on. One is the sofa you sit on. Limit that as much as possible. Of course, there's a lot of sitting around during the holidays. Get up and get moving. And the second are the sofas you eat. That's saturated fats, added sugar, and sodium, the trifecta. So when thinking about Thanksgiving, I mean, if you're looking at the Harvard Healthy Eating Plate, you're like, whoa, I visualize that plate and there's not much on the buffet that's going to add up to that. It's hard when we're scoping out the food offerings and seeing all the temptations around us. But hopefully the host is gracious and does serve some veggies. Ideally, they don't serve them with a whole lot of saturated fat or sodium, like without a whole lot of butter, without a whole lot of sodium. If you are hosting, maybe try offering some of the veggies with, maybe steam them, roast them, air fry them if you want that crunch, right? You ladies, Maureen, I know you've got that air fryer. So feel free to do different seasonings, mix it up, and feel free to do traditional seasonings that might go along with what you have on the turkey, or switch it up with some citrus zest, if that's your thing. I know my mother-in-law loves citrus zest. Also, limit the added sugar too. So you could potentially find a lot of added sugar without even knowing it in your cranberry sauce. And that defeats a lot of the purpose. So maybe you go for a baked apple instead. Or it could be the sweet potatoes, right? Because the sweet potato is a starchy veggie, which would go in where we would put the whole grains. So we would want to limit that to our one serving. If you're choosing the sweet potato, save that for that quarter of the plate. But also be mindful if it's got a lot of marshmallows and sugar on top, that might not be the best choice in terms of your starch if you're looking. But if that's something that's on your top three, savor it. Choose it and savor it. Make sure you are taking the time to enjoy whatever you choose to put on your plate. Also, the dessert table. Obviously, there's going to be added sugars. It's part of the holidays. These are special days. It's not every day. It's what we do every day that makes the biggest difference. But these little tiny holiday moments, we want to stay in control and we want to savor what we choose. So if you are having some added sugar, save them for the dessert table. And maybe if you're looking at the offerings, look for the fruit crisp rather than the pecan pie, right? Unless that's the one thing you chose to savor, right? So have your top three list, have your priority list, and choose wisely. Obviously, when you're selecting your protein, be mindful here. If you're a meat eater and you're going for the traditional turkey offering, go for the white meat instead of the dark meat, and go light on the gravy because that does tend to add a lot of saturated fat and sodium. If you're plant-based, if you're like me, maybe offer to bring a complete shared dish that incorporates a sneaky plant-based protein like chickpeas. I personally am going to be making it's called a cottage pie, and it's a mashed sweet potato on top with a mushroom gravy, and it's basically mushrooms reduced down. It is a little bit of gravy to give a little umami flavor, and then a ton of veggies. I believe it's got lentils, it's got lima beans, it's got a ton of other vegetables. So you've got your proteins, you've got your starch, you've got your veggies all in one complete dish. But that can be helpful if you are someone that's plant-based, walking into a traditional Thanksgiving feast, offering to be a gracious guest and saying, I'll bring a shared dish, can be an easy way for you to still have something that's a safeguard for yourself, to have what you want while still enjoying what the host has made and presented for everyone. So, and like I said earlier, make sure you're reserving some space on that plate for those whole grains or for the starches. There's very few whole grains on Thanksgiving Day or at these holiday gatherings. So make a wise choice here. It's not going to be a completely balanced meal. But if you go for the ratios and you say, okay, I want to aim for non-starchy veggies, and I want to have a starch, and I want to have a healthy protein, try to have it mimic the ratios. Doesn't have to mimic the full quality of a standard healthy plate. So just to recap, if you're feeling like there's a lack of healthy options, which is pitfall 2, be careful about your choices. So here are 4 more strategies to add to the list. We had 7 on the previous slide. We have 4 now. If you're doing the math, we'll tally them up at the very end. Don't worry. So here are some other strategies. So visualize your portion size. Like I said, you've got your hand, you've got your thumb. You can always visualize that size. Use the ratios to guide what you put on your plate. Once again, this is a screenshot moment. So if you're feeling like, oh, I want to save this, feel free to screenshot it. Offer to bring a shared dish. And if you are hosting, find healthy swaps for crowd favorites or add in more veggie sides that you can enable people to make healthier choices while still giving people what they want. One other one that came up yesterday in a consult was someone was saying, we have these traditional things that we eat, but not everybody always likes them. Why am I continuously making this extravagant display of food and then having a lot of leftovers of things that people don't like? So maybe if it's family that you're hosting, say, okay, what's your number 1 choice? And narrow down and simplify your list so that you have these. This is the 2 starch options that I'm going to offer. This is the protein option that I'm going to offer. These are all of the veggies. And that way you can enable your guests to make healthy decisions. And even, decide what you're putting out as an appetizer, an hors d'oeuvre. Maybe offer hummus and veggies instead of chips and dips, right? So just be mindful about all the food that you're setting out if you are hosting. This is the section I think my mom showed up for. So we will get to eat our chocolate really soon. So I want to go over briefly mindful eating. Don't worry, chocolate is coming. Mom, I know you've got your chocolate. So mindfulness is the act of being aware of your movement, thoughts, and actions. So simply put, being fully present in the moment. When you're fully present and aware of your choices, you're able to calm the frenzy and slow down, which helps you make an informed decision aligned with your goals. And throughout a meal, it can promote better portion control and deeper satisfaction. So regardless of the food choices that you actually eat on the day of a holiday or the day of a gathering, whatever you choose, I just ask that you savor the food. That is the most important thing to walk away with. Now, I do have a full presentation on mindful and intuitive eating. So if you find yourself walking in going like, oh, I'm going to overeat, I'm going to feel guilt, I'm going to feel shame, or blah, blah, blah. Try to stop before you go in and set the intentions, know your intentions about the event. Maybe say, you know what, today is a savor day. We'll go over that a little bit more in a bit. But if you want to watch that mindful eating and intuitive eating presentation, it is on my YouTube page. And it goes over the 7 skills of a mindful eater. I'm not going to fully dive into that today because I do want to be mindful of time here because I still have a couple more pitfalls to get through. But I do encourage you to watch that video, especially to prime your pump before going into the meal so that you remember that you are practicing mindful eating. You are practicing savoring. It is not about being strict on the holidays. It's about developing a healthier relationship with food and how we view social gatherings so that we can be in control, we can enjoy it while having our health too. So it's important for us to experience the mindful bite all together. And we will go over pitfalls 3 and 4, which are speed eating and eating while distracted. Real quick, this is, if you have watched that YouTube video, this is a slide from that. I just changed the colors today because I wanted to be aligned with the theme of this presentation. But the 7 skills of a mindful eater. First is being aware, developing awareness around your food choices, observing what you're noticing about the food, being mindful of what's happening for you in the moment, what feelings are coming up, being mindful of the external stimuli that are influencing your decisions. And these last 3 are the ones that we need to practice, I would say, most, because it's easier to develop higher awareness. It's harder to let go. It's harder to say, I'm not going to judge these foods. I'm going to let go and I'm going to accept the choice that I'm making. And I'm not going to dive too far in, but if you say, I notice about something, it's a lot easier to let go of judgment. So making I notice statements like, I notice that this food is really high in sugar and it's making me feel a certain way. Or I notice that when I go in too hungry, I overeat. So that can help you gain some sense of control. Or I notice this food really reminds me of my grandmother's cooking and I'm really going to enjoy it. It might not be the healthiest option, but you know what? If my grandma were to put something on my plate in front of me, I would definitely eat it. Doesn't matter what it was. So definitely be mindful and let go and accept what you are eating. So all of these are helpful. The last 3, like I said, can be the biggest challenge. So definitely make sure, if you want to just have that gentle reminder, feel free to view that full presentation, experience that full presentation on YouTube, just to get your head in the game for the holiday. Before we eat the chocolate, I do want to give you an overview of what to expect for our practice today. So this is just an overview for what we're about to experience with the chocolate. So if you have your piece of chocolate, feel free to set it down in front of you, have it close by. You can even unwrap it if you like. We'll have another opportunity to unwrap it in a moment. But we're going to take in the food with all of our senses, visually taking it in and noticing the different smells, the sights, maybe how it feels, sensations. You want to notice your body's reaction to the food, the anticipation. Notice what's happening in your mouth. Even the thought of food or eating can start activating the enzymes, the digestive enzymes. The brain knows that food is coming. So that is going to start the digestive enzymes firing. So you might notice your saliva production increases. You might notice the anticipation. You're anticipating dopamine. And we will take a deep breath to set the intentions to be fully present with that bite. And we will slowly bring the food to our mouth. We'll become aware of our movements. And once the food is in the mouth, we're not just going to crunch it up and swallow it down. We are going to take a bite, put the remainder of the food down. We're going to actually focus on the full experience of that bite and how it evolves instead of anticipating the next bite. And we're going to concentrate on the act of eating, noticing the taste, the textures, the sensations, how it evolves, like I said. And we are going to chew until the food is smooth. Now with chocolate, you might notice that it just melts. And that's okay too. So just notice that. But if it were something that needed a little bit more bite, let's say we're trying this with an apple. One of my clients has pointed out, that there are 32 teeth in the average adult mouth. So why not consider chewing 32 times, right? They like to, mindful eating experts say between 20 and 30 chews per bite is a way to help smooth out the food a little bit, and it aids in digestion. So just a fun tidbit. So 32 teeth means chew 32 times maybe. And we'll also pause before preparing the next bite. And I believe we are ready to try this, right? So feel free, hold up your piece of chocolate. Let me know you're ready. Let's experience the mindful bite. So place your piece of chocolate or peanut or whatever you've experienced, whatever you brought to experience today. Thank you, Michelle. You will probably chew 32 times of the peanut. Feel free to place it in front of you. And if it is in a wrapper, feel free to unwrap it now. Notice what that is like. What is your brain anticipating? What is your body signaling? And the idea is to experience this bite and establish how mindful eating can feel within the context of a meal. Not every bite is going to take 5 minutes. This one will. So now that you've got your food item in front of you, first slow down your experience and let's share a collective deep breath. Deep breath in through the nose, stretching up through the spine. And exhale, settling into your seat, relaxing into the moment. And just notice any feelings that might be coming up for you. Maybe you're feeling anxious. Maybe you're feeling hungry. There could be some low-grade agitation from the day. Maybe you're feeling calm and ready. If you're feeling hurried, I encourage you to take this moment to take another deep breath and just relax any tension you might be experiencing. Notice the forehead, the neck, the shoulders. Relax the arms. Notice any thoughts that are popping up and put outside thoughts and distractions and worries aside just for this moment. We are here to be fully present with this bite and this food. We are here to eat the food, not our projects, not our worries, not our anxieties. Those things will still be available to you on the other side of the bite. For now, be present with the food. Diving deeper into this experience with your food, pause and think of how this item arrived directly here in front of you. Maybe even express gratitude that you can experience this bite. And we're going to begin becoming fully present with the food in front of you by visually taking it in. So look at it and just see, what colors do you notice? What textures can you see? And maybe we inhale deeply and smell the food. Again, noticing any thoughts or senses, thoughts or sensations that these senses evoke. And before we pick up the food, take a moment to simply name 2 adjectives that you would use to describe the food item in front of you. Let's pick up the food and notice the weight. Notice any textures you might be able to feel. And lift the food as if you were going to put it in your mouth. And just notice the movement of taking that food and bringing it to the mouth. Notice what your hands do, your shoulders, your head, your jaw. And go ahead and take that bite. With that first bite, if you have remaining food, put it down. Put it back on the plate and relax your hands. Be fully present and eat with all of your senses. So chew the food. And as you chew, the food begins to become smooth. And we bring awareness to the evolution of the food throughout the bite. And once you notice, it's about 20 to 30 chews. Once you notice that it's smooth, swallow and feel it tracking down through the digestive tract towards the stomach. And get really curious about what you've experienced here. In some cases, you may feel really connected and satisfied with that experience. Other times you may feel unsatisfied. Might feel like, was that worth it? And sometimes we feel neutral about the food. We feel neutral here. So as you've swallowed that food, pause and explore what was satisfying about that bite. How could you make that bite a bit more enjoyable? And now that we followed that bite all the way through, if you have remaining food, I invite you here to recognize this as an opportunity to choose. Every bite, you do have the power to choose whether you're going to take another one or you're going to walk away from the food. So if you are choosing another bite, it can be an evolving practice, and you can notice how your experience changes with the same food as you progress through a meal or even just through a snack. And of course, this is something you can put into practice throughout every day, so that when you get to an event, it's something that would be easier to implement. I like to say we practice so we can show up on game day. So feel free to follow the same process to make every bite a mindful bite. Maybe a bit quicker than 5 minutes, but of course, it can be helpful to have slow, mindful bites. So I hope you've enjoyed your chocolate. I do want to go over pitfalls 3 and 4 here. Now that we have experienced how to slow down and become more present with our food, I do want to think about how we can put that practice into action in the midst of a hurried overload environment that often comes with the holidays. We're trying to rush from one gathering to the next. We're trying to manage where we're eating dinner, where we're eating dessert, and we're trying to manage, okay, the leftovers are coming and who's going to be there, and I'm nervous about. There's a lot that happens in these hurried environments, even if we're looking forward to it. So the good news is you have a full week to practice anything that you want to implement here. Now, I do have 8 more strategies on this slide. So you have a full week to practice from now until Thanksgiving. And then obviously the other holidays are more than a month away. So these are 8 more tactical strategies that you could test out and discover which ones work for you, right? Everybody's mindful eating practice is a bit different. So as you discover which ones work best for you, you can begin to develop the plan that you want for your holiday eating strategy. So my personal favorite, this is one that I actively practice whenever I eat. And if I'm not practicing it, I catch it and I put the fork down between bites. This is my #1 go-to mindful eating practice for me personally. I know several clients like that practice as well. That's just the one that I catch myself on the most. And chewing thoroughly. So marrying those two together, putting the fork down between bites, chewing all the way and letting yourself swallow the food before you prepare the next bite allows you to experience the bite without anticipating the next. Also, don't let politics enter the plate. Make food the topic of conversation. When you're at the buffet or the table, maybe you're mindfully selecting the food you want to experience. We talked about that in the previous section, talking about that balanced plate concept. One that I love is choosing one item to truly savor and slow down. So if you're feeling like, wow, it's a very distracting environment, I'm going to need to really slow myself down and experience it. but I can't do that for all of it. Choose one item that you're like, it doesn't matter what else is going on. This is the thing I showed up for today. I'm going to be here with that item. The other items I'll eat. Yeah, sure. I don't need to be fully present with those, but this is the item that I really want to savor today. And if people ask, feel free, share your mindful eating strategies with your family so that they can maybe understand what you're doing if it's definitely different than what you've done in the past. Make it a point to make the first bite of each food item a mindful bite. Or even if you're feeling like I can't make it a mindful bite, but I can at least notice the food, take a moment to define 3 adjectives that would describe your food before you take your next bite, or even before you take your first bite. All right, so this last pitfall, I've broken into 2 different categories, but this one is one that gets us, and it's pretty sneaky. It's important to be mindful here. It's the lingering leftovers, letting the leftovers spill into the following days, because this can be what makes it what my client calls cozy season, right? It spans from Halloween to New Year's Day, and it just kind of rolls out, and it has this domino effect of each gathering has leftovers, and then it's part of your daily routine, and then it's really hard to break that cycle. So letting the leftovers spill into your daily routine days can create this blurred line. So maybe as we go into these holidays, you can define for yourself the days that you want to call savor days and the days you want to call daily routine days. Now, if you know that you do have lingering leftovers and it's something that's part of your tradition, I know when we were growing up, we would always have the leftover turkey, and then my mom the next day would make hot turkey sandwiches with the turkey and the gravy on white bread. And it was delicious. And it was something that you look forward to, but it was, that parameter was like, okay, Thanksgiving Day and the day after, those are the 2 meals that we're going to have. And then you move back to business as usual. So define what success looks like for you. And maybe allow yourself to say, you know what, I only want to have the holiday, and I want to walk away and be like, you know what, I enjoyed that. I don't need to enjoy more of it. I want to move on, right? And allow yourself to savor. So cozy season is here. We don't want every day to be a holiday or a vacation. So I have broken it down into host and guest so that there aren't too many lingering leftovers, and also hopefully not too much waste. So once again, this is a screenshot moment. There's 7 strategies for the host, 6 for a guest, and 1 for everybody all together. But here we are. So as a host, if you are the one hosting, calculate the appropriate portions for the number of guests that you have coming. Now, I am no food service expert. My mother would be the one to contact for that. But of course, you do want to make sure you're saying, okay, I know that a half a cup of grains is enough for 2 people, uncooked grains, and I have 10 people coming, so I need 5 cups of that cooked grain. Or I'm serving 3 different starches. This one happens to be the most popular. I'm going to make more of that and less of the others. It doesn't need to be an abundance of everything. So calculate appropriate portions given the number of guests that you have coming. If you are the host and your guests really love the indulgence of the holidays, feel free to send the leftovers home, and simplify the menu. Like I said earlier, doesn't have to be everything that is always on the plate. It can be just 1 or 2 starches. It can be 1 protein. If you're focusing on just the turkey, just do the turkey. It doesn't have to be everything. And then also add in some veggies. So promote portion control with presentation. This is one that I've recently discovered. And you could do muffin pan stuffing and just make little stuffing muffins. Or you can use an ice cream scoop to scoop out mashed potatoes into balls and serve it on a platter so that visually guests take 1 portion. It cuts down on the amount that you need to cook, but it also encourages your guests to also practice portion control. Feel free to try some healthy recipes or swaps for traditional items so that you can limit that trifecta that we talked about earlier, the SOFAs, sodium, saturated fats, and added sugars. Obviously, cover the basics of healthy eating plate when you're planning out the menu if you're hosting. So include items that would be in the plan the next day, those non-starchy veggies. If there's leftover veggies, great, put them in a meal prep the next day. And if you are offering appetizers, set out some cut veggies and hummus or fresh fruits so that guests can nosh on something. So if they are showing up, like Michelle said earlier, I go from a 1 to a 10. If you're graciously hosting, maybe set out some veggies and hummus or some fresh fruits so that they can nosh without the added calories, and they can really enjoy and stay in control when they get to the main event. Of course, if you're the guest, like I said earlier, offer to bring a shared dish. If you're a meat eater, go for the white meat instead of the dark meat. Obviously, like we said earlier, go easy on the gravy, limit the sofas, forgo the leftovers. If a host is saying, here, take this home, I've got so much, maybe you say, okay, I'm not going to have any of that, or, oh, I'll take some of the green beans, or I'm going to take some of the white meat if you are a meat eater. Remind yourself before going in that not every day is a holiday. So make sure you are savoring that meal when you're there and allowing yourself to enjoy it, and then move on. It's not all or nothing here. It's important to savor the company. It's important to savor the food. It's important to savor this time because it really is a special occasion. And let yourself experience it in a non-judgmental way. And no matter who you are, you can choose to practice intuitive eating. You can choose to practice mindful eating, and you can choose to create a balanced plate. So obviously there's some supporting content. Like I mentioned earlier, I've been working on building up my YouTube channel so that you can have these reminders for yourself and you can continue to practice and feel supported. So feel free, hop over there if you want to. I've got to move the slide. There we go. Now it's time. Take a moment to pause and reflect on what you want to implement this upcoming week. Just a quick reminder, SMART goals are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So I'm going to guide this SMART goal setting today. So ask yourself the following questions so that we can come up with a sample goal. I'm going to read my sample here. I will put my fork down between each bite while eating dinner with my family on Saturday and Sunday this week to practice that skill so that I can use it on Thanksgiving Day. And Mom, I'm voicing that now so that you can be my accountability buddy when we get to the 2 events this weekend. Thanks, Mom. So ask yourself these questions as we go through the SMART goal setting. First is, what exactly will I do? We've just had 32 tactical strategies thrown your way. What will you do and implement? Also ask yourself, how will I know if I got it right? So that's the measurable part. Make sure it's something that's achievable and realistic, right? How confident on a scale of 1 to 10 that I'll be able to realistically achieve this goal with a moderate amount of effort? So yeah, you're going to have to set your intentions. You're going to have to plan for it. But if you're feeling like you're at a 2 in confidence, let's reassess and say, okay, what could I adjust in these metrics to say I could hit that target with about a 7 to a 10 out of 10 on that scale of 1 to 10. Imagine if you achieve this goal, when you achieve this goal, how will I feel? How will my experience be better this time around compared to previous holidays? And lastly, when do you want to achieve this goal by? You can see here, I wrote down a goal for myself for this weekend to practice the skills that I want to implement on Thanksgiving Day or any gathering. So today we are focused on process goals, behavior goals, not outcome goals, right? We're not trying to beat the scale on Thanksgiving Day or the day after. It's not the day for that, right? We're focused on behavior goals and how we are experiencing it. So set your intentions for what you want to feel and what you want to experience at the holiday so you can stay in control. Remember, your behaviors drive your outcomes. Behaviors are the leading indicators of what your experience will be. So change those thoughts, change your perceptions, and allow yourself to enjoy. And Mom, you had raised your hand. Did you have a question?
Oh, can you hear?
I could hear you, yes.
You're not. But I was just going to say, like that piece of chocolate, you take one little piece of chocolate and you turn it into 5 bites.
Yeah.
And each bite, you fill your mouth with it before you swallow. And then one little piece of chocolate feels like 5.
Wow. You are so right. I mean, how many times, Mom, if we can talk candidly for a second, I mean, how many times have we like just put away a bag of Dove Dark chocolates without even really realizing it?
Yeah, I've gotten away from that. I have one piece after dinner and it feels like 5 because that's what I do. I break it into 5 or 6 pieces, just take little teeny bites and roll it around in my mouth and enjoy it.
And for anybody else on the call, I will attest to that. She does. She takes, it's like a corner. She does a corner for each, and then the last little bit from the middle pops in her mouth. She's got a full strategy for how she experiences this piece of chocolate, but it really does, it allows you to stay in more control, and you can really feel like you got more than you did. And Mom, how would you say your satisfaction compares to just eating that one piece of chocolate compared to eating several?
It's truly the same.
Yeah.
You've got the flavor in your mouth for the whole time, and you don't need to take big, huge bites to enjoy whatever it is you're having. Piece of cheesecake goes right to my thighs. But if I just take a little bit of cheesecake, little teeny bites, it's the same. It's the flavor that I want. It's not so much the calories or the fat that goes to my thighs.
Right. You're clear on what you want to experience. You're clear that you want the taste sensation without all of the added baggage.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mom, I would just want to say quickly, because we're on a call together without the kids like saying Nana, Nana, Nana. So I just want to thank you personally for being that transition person for our family so many years ago and continuing to support all of the changes because we've thrown a lot of changes at you just in this household. So, and I mean, you've got 3 of us, so 3 kids. So between having all 3 of us, we're all throwing our own unique challenges with our unique family situations at you. So I thank you for supporting that and always being supportive of that.
It's been my pleasure.
Always a mom, but definitely enjoying being a Nana. Yeah. So anyways, that was a jam-packed session. Thank you guys for letting me go over today. As always, I'm long-winded, but I hope that this helped you cozy up with Michelle. Thank you. Yes. Yay, Mom. Go, Mom. But I hope that this was able to help you guys establish a plan and intentions for the holidays, because this really is about the intentions that you're setting going in. If you have the intention of savoring and enjoying, allow yourself to experience that. So I threw a lot at you with the 5 pitfalls, the 3 overarching healthy eating principles, and the 32 tactical strategies. Yes, well over 10 that I had promised. I over-delivered on that so that you can develop your own eating plan for the holidays and beyond. So Maureen, I love it. Great teamwork, yes. And continuing with daily exercise, increasing group fitness classes, and maintaining the overall goal of staying in balance and being present so that you notice your triggers that are causing distractions. Being present can solve a lot of our challenges. And I hope that we can all go in and experience and be present for what all of these days have to offer. Every day is a day that is worthy of being present for. So what takeaways, questions, aha moments do you guys have at this point? Feel free to share them in chat. Or come off mute. It's fine as well.
I'm going to say night. Time to go that up.
Sounds good. I love you, Mom. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
For me, my main goal is to not go in hungry. I want to start my day the way I start my day during the week. I don't want to overeat, so I'm going to be more mindful of how I'm feeling when I'm eating, and when I start feeling that I'm getting too full, I want to put my fork down, and that's enough for me. And then I was talking to my sister about this earlier, because I always make like, it's only my sister and her husband and myself. So I always make like a 20-pound turkey. And I'm like, we have so many leftovers. I'm like, just going to make smaller portions.
Right.
So that way we don't have a lot of leftovers, and we can go back to our routines that we've put in place to eat healthy. And then my main, I don't want to feel overstuffed and gross. I don't want to feel weighted down like, oh my God, that was a horrible decision. Why did I do that? When I've been on, on the right path.
Right. Yeah. You're seeing just being intentional and in tune with your hunger cues.
Yeah.
Can steer you in the right direction. Like I said, it's not about what you're eating on these holidays, right? Normal days, yes, it is about quality of diet and what we're choosing. But on the holidays, it's not about what we're choosing. It's about how much we're choosing and also how we're experiencing it. So you're really clear on what you want to be experiencing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because again, in the past, I would go from 1 to 10. Like I wouldn't eat all day because I would be cooking all day. And I knew that I just wanted to be able to enjoy my meal. But I can still enjoy my meal, but just less of it.
Absolutely. And like my mom pointed out, I will attest, she does that. She takes one piece of chocolate, and she's even gotten away from Dove. She goes for the 99% dark Ghirardelli. She takes a square. She just takes this little tiny bite, but you can tell she's fully with that piece of chocolate. She loves chocolate.
I could care less about chocolate. My downfall are peanuts, potato chips. Like I'm more savory.
Yeah.
My sister loves chocolate though. But me.
Oh. Yeah. And everybody's different about what triggers them. But yeah, it's about choosing to enjoy it in moderation. Yeah. Was there anything else for the greater good?
That last week I told you that I did the chocolate mindfulness activity with my yoga group.
Yeah. How did that go?
So it went well, but so I had sent home a note to the parents asking, telling them that we're going to be using chocolate, or I could bring blueberries if someone had an allergy or someone didn't care for chocolate. But everyone said they wanted chocolate. So when we were leaving, we were walking down the hallway, this little first grade boy looked up at me and he said, "Mr. Orlando, is today the last day?" And I said, "Yeah, buddy." And he said, "I thought we were getting muffins." And I was like, "Muffins?" He goes, "Yeah, well, you sent that paper home to my mom that said we were either getting chocolate or blueberry muffins." And I was like, "Oh, no, it didn't say anything about muffins, honey, just chocolate or blueberry." He was like, "Oh, I thought we were getting muffins." I said, "Well, you seem disappointed." He said, "Well, the chocolate was good. It's just," and I was just like, "Oh boy, I think he missed the point." This is funny. He showed up for muffins.
That's funny.
I have to say though, just sharing that with kids is so impactful. And I know that for a fact because my dad is in his 60s and he still talks about I think it was his kindergarten teacher. It might have been his first grade teacher, but regardless, he was of the same age group that this boy is. And he still talks about this teacher that made them let the piece of chocolate melt in their mouth and notice it and experience it. And this teacher did a bunch of different food activities, and like, for someone that instilled so much mindful eating, we need her back. And my dad's not really the most mindful eater.
That's
but
awesome.
Still remembers it. Those are poignant moments for kids, and just to be sharing that, it's something that just allows them, it's stored back in their consciousness somewhere, and they can call that into practice later in life, which is really helpful. So keep spreading the word and the mission. Awesome. Well, I think that's all for today. Obviously, if anything pops up, you know where to reach me. Feel free, message me, email, Facebook group, whatever. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, you know exactly where to reach me, or any help with your SMART goals, any wins, etc. So once again, thank you for attending this.
Thank you.
I couldn't help myself. I was like, oh, I gotta see them. So feel free to share it. I'll be sharing it with you once the recording is done. So I'm wishing you a very happy, healthy holiday season, and we will meet on Tuesday at 6 p.m.
Thank you. Good night.
Ladies. Good night.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.